And now, through the magic of the Cybernet Space Cube, the computer-enhanced podcast of the future, Transformers Slag Podcast.
What's up, everyone? How we doing this Saturday night? It's a Transformers Slag Podcast Saturday live stream main event. I'm your host, Protoman. I'm the face that runs this place. I'm the voice you hear Monday to Friday, and it is Saturday. We got a lot to cover today. A lot of stuff in the news, interesting stuff, developments, interviews, listings, new photos, stuff of the future, and more. We're going to talk about tonight. How we all doing? Who do we got in the chat today? We got Patrick Brown, one of my YouTube members. James, how you doing? One of my YouTube members. JR Mina from the Philippines in the clutch. How you doing? Will Murphy, what's up? What's up? Secret Kingdom. I never seen that one before, but welcome. Also, Flatline Girl, one of my patrons. Who else do we got here? Rudy Mack, how you doing? I'll be seeing you in a couple weeks. Else? T-Formers 2002. I'll also be seeing in a couple weeks. Cringe isn't here yet, I guess. Everyone's slowly rolling in at this point. Mateus, what's up? Will Murphy, Bigum, TFCon Twins. I'll also be seeing at TFCon in a few weeks. Very hyped about the upcoming show. It's going to be a big one. Bigum, how you doing? Roman, Patrick Brown. Everyone's rolling in now. Fawnhart, Navio. So, let's talk Transformers. Got a few things to cover. BC Digital, one of my new patrons who just joined. Welcome, BC. So, let's see. We got a lot to cover. A lot of stuff. We got to do some updates on things, too, because we were learning stuff about it as it was happening through the week and everything. We'll start, of course, first with this interesting drop. Last week, we just talked about the listing. This week, let's talk about the actual reveal and pre-order that went up. And this is the Sentinel Prime pack, sometimes called the Artifact pack, the Conduit pack. This is a unique price-pointed item on Hasbro Pulse's website, also available on partner websites, of a Sentinel Prime that's based off of the Alex Milne design from the IDW comics. Kind of really made its debut in Megatron Origins in some shape or form. The alt mode obviously would debut later on through different Alex Milne books. But yeah, here's one version of Sentinel Prime, at least. Something that leans more towards what the comics depicted, with his very, I've seen a lot of memes on what they were assuming this alt mode was supposed to look like, but micro trailer. Some people are making it look like Professor X's floating chair. A lot of different stuff. I see GoBot's blaster personally. Machine Robo. So interesting thing. But the big selling point with it, in all honesty, is the well of the Allspark, the Conduit. Something that both Mark and Evan were talking about for months and months and months. If you get all of the Prime artifacts, the ancient 13 Prime artifacts, you'll be able to put them together and make a well of the Allspark. That's what they said originally. Kind of lost in translation there, but what it really was is this Conduit, this well of the Allspark kind of looking thing. Almost kind of like a Zodiac, not Zodiac from Transformers, a Zodiac symbol holder in a lot of ways. It also reminds me a little bit of the Throne of the Primes, where it had the wheel that held the 13 on it also. So there's a lot going on with it. Interesting item. I didn't realize initially when I was talking about it that the shield that appears for Sentinel is what makes that centerpiece of this Conduit, this Well of the Sparks, this Zodiac. It's a large piece of plastic. I think that's how they're trying to justify the $67.99 price point. And it is a very large piece. There was a Chinese live stream from Hasbro China that showed just how big this item is, especially in the box. I'll be honest with you. For me, it's just about the well of the Allspark. If this could have been any character, it could have been Sentinel Prime, it could have been a Cyclonus repaint, it could have been I don't know. It could have been anything. Could have been Black Shadow from Transformers Victory, and it wouldn't make a difference to me. To me, it's all about this conduit and just how it's supposed to interact with all my other original 13 artifacts. So it is what it is. And I hate to say it, but this is an item, I feel it in my stomach, that is going to be one of these clearance items later on. I don't know why. I don't know why. Like I think that a Voyager class partial from Tarn with a small pizza size, personal pan pizza size piece of plastic does not justify a near $70 price point. That's just me personally. But I am intrigued by it. I do want to own it. But again, money is always the part of me that always wants to go, well, is this worth it for what I'm getting out of it? What's up, Wizard Sphere X, Tom Laney, Hufflebug, and Clark Clint Gaming? All my patrons. And Princeton Phalanx 59. How you doing? Also a patron. So, I gotta get some water in me here. Had a long day. So it's something where, in all honesty, um, I don't see it. I don't see the value in it. Again, I am interested, but not 67.99 interested. So it's something that items like this, I end up seeing red tag clearance later on in like GameStop, EB Games here locally in Montreal. So I just have this gut feeling that's going to be the case. And if let's say I jumped in on this now at 70, I might regret it later when it takes a nosedive. But that's just my take. Again, I'm in it for the Allspark. That's you're talking me as an individual. It's my own selfish opinion, but when you've owned almost everything, collected almost everything, you just kind of want the weird stuff at this point. And you know, we've had a good few Sentinel Prime toys, but we've never had a the Allspark, and that's kind of what speaks to me more than anything. You know, give us a blue Bacchus update. Yeah. Oh, we haven't had a blue Bacchus since the first one. At least Black Shadow had two of them. Imagine two Black Shadows, but only one blue Bacchus, and it was the original. Well, we had three Black Shadows because we also had that redeco. But yeah, again, that's my take on that pretty much. The other big takeaway from it is a certain accessory that was on there that really caught my eye, which was a different color wave of a of a Vector Prime sword. And we all go back to the old Aaron Archer theory, which is Sentinel Prime before the days of Transformers Galaxy Force, aka Cybertron. His original color scheme was the gold. He had a gold chrome, in this case, just regular gold here, but he had a gold chrome, and that all went away over time, and that was the white luster under it. And it's almost like a toy theory because Aaron thought it up. Because if you have a chrome figure, when the chrome comes off of a figure, there's a white that's the base plastisol under it that the chrome attaches to. So it's almost like you had a chrome toy and then all the chrome came off and you just have the white plastisol under it. And that's what Sentinel Prime was supposed to represent in fiction. But if you know Sentinel Prime in his original form, yeah, that's the color of his Sword of Time back then, which was that clear orange color wave. So that's what's going on with that is we have a clear orange color wave. Now, granted, it's slightly retooled from what we had before, but it's that color wave of the sword, and that gives us an indication of what potentially we might see in the future. So we're going to have some kind of ancient Vector Prime, ancient Vector Prime kind of thing going on, and possibly a brand new tooling, which is very exciting. Maybe something that's even more true to some of the old, Covenant of Primus art style stuff. Could go all the way that far back. And he'll come with, maybe he'll come with also like a little, timekeeper. Who knows? We'll see. A lot of really cool things. But we'll see. That's technically, everyone's saying, oh, we finally finished our 13. We technically still have one left. The true one. The last one. The Keeper of Time. the Vector Prime. So we'll see with that. That'll be probably second half of 2026, if not early 2027 with the Age of Evolution. But we will see with that one. Maybe San Diego Comic-Con reveal. Check it out, yo. Then we got this one too. This is a case of if you didn't get these guys before, once again, sometimes waiting pays off. Um, in all honesty, I feel some of these are slightly better than what we already got before, and it's that of the Autobot 3-pack, also Hasbro Pulse. Pretty good price. I'll be 89.99. To get these three guys. Uh, the secondary market on some of these is pretty crazy, anyways. A Before this was known publicly, if you wanted a Studio Series 86 Voyager class Ironhide, you were paying almost $60. If you wanted the Battle Across Space 2-pack Mirage that was exclusively available through the Kingdom line, which came with that Beast Wars Grimlock, just that Mirage would have ran you $40. And then, yeah, okay, Earthrise Blue Streak wasn't that difficult to get. So to get these three, one of them is a vast improvement color wise, which I think the Ironhide is a huge improvement by choosing to make the clear plastic of the windows now a solid red and then just painting over it where needed. It fixes all of the other visual problems that the Studio Series 86 had. The Mirage has a bunch of new tooling on it. Ignore how the shoulder cannon is done there. The Chinese Hasbro stream really shows how good the figure looks when it's transformed properly. That's just sometimes what happens with the photographers at Hasbro. They don't do it the best justice. And same thing here with the blue streak. I mean, it looks like they phased out the translucent plastic. Here's how I look at it. The windows and the front headlights were made out of the same translucent plastic. Assuming that those front headlights are just a straight up solid white plastic, and then it was a white plastic for the windows, and then they just painted it, that makes it also much more stable. And the blue streak will also be an improvement, in my opinion. I do like the paint deco on the rear taillights, which you could only see in the robot mode there. But I think it looks great. I think this is an improvement. If you didn't get any of these guys, I think it's worth it. If you got some of these guys, I still think you would not be remiss if you get these ones because they are improvements. Again, I think the Ironhide is the best of the three because I was not a fan of how they decided to do the color layout for the Studio Series 86 one. Those two little clear blue plastic, light bar pieces stuck out like a sore thumb and almost made him look like a version of Ratchet that just had blue light bars, just they were very tiny. It just looked weird. So this is an improvement. Again, the Mirage looks awesome, and I love Formula One Transformers, so that also is a bit of a bias, but he looks great too in that new tooling. And Blue Streak's awesome. He's also a personal favorite of mine. So great little 3-pack, $89.99. This one I think is worth the price of entry because the secondary market is kind of funky with these guys. They're all pricey in their own way, except for Blue Streak. So you wouldn't be wrong to buy this. If you were just buying this just to get Ironhide, it would be worth it, especially how the secondary market is. And this isn't something that's going to be in retail. Maybe some people might buy this to break up these sets, but at the end of the day, I think it's worth it. I think it really is. So, wow, the Sentinel Prime I might have been ragging on, even though I'm really intrigued by that. Well, the Allspark, this one here, pound for pound, the value is there. I feel like if you bought this just for Ironhide and you tried to sell the Blue Streak and the Mirage, I think you'd get your money back. I think people would be willing to pay 50 a piece for each one of these, and you'd be getting your money back and then some. So it's something where good investment here. Good investment here. It just works out. And I could totally see, once again, as someone who runs the TFCon charity auction with Ian, I get a feeling I'm going to be seeing some Mirages, some Ironhides, and some Blue Streaks being donated at an upcoming charity auction. So stay tuned for that if you don't care about this one and you just want to get one on the cheap and you're going to be at TFCon Toronto in a month and then some. Sorry, I'm a little dehydrated today. We were out all day yesterday and today. Just enjoying. So it's been Formula One weekend here in Montreal, and like I said, I have a love for Formula One, so I was very, very busy in downtown Montreal, just enjoying the sights and everything. Good stuff. Uh, then we got this one here. So we have a listing for this comes courtesy of the Target computers and Transformers Cyber World. This is probably going to fall under their Energon Surge new subline. Air and Sea Starscream. So this is something that once again we're seeing a very different flavor of alt modes for the characters of Transformers Cyberworld. Traditional characters like Soundwave that are, sound vans, tape cassettes or some kind, anything but. And now we're seeing stuff that has never been done before with some of these characters. And we had some kind of like Deep Sea Explorer Soundwave that's going to be kind of the featured item in Cyber World, but we also have like a giant bumblebee. We got all kinds of different alt modes for all the other characters, and now we have something that's an air and sea Starscream. And I'm telling you, I'm calling it now. I get a feeling it might be a beast kind of air thing. It might not be a jet. It might be a bird or something. So, and it wouldn't be the first time Starscream is some kind of bird. We've seen that already through other collaborations and items, but this is fascinating. This is pretty cool. And Cyberworld, again, for all it is, 5-minute segments and more simplistic transformations and stuff, but at least its uniqueness as a line always shines through, and I kind of want to see what they're doing here. So we'll see what pops off with that one. This one's going to be $27.99, so that right away tells us it's also going to be in a higher price point than what we've seen with the standardized Cyber Changers, which are their $9.99 price point, the armored Cyber Changers, which are the $14.99 price point, and then the $27.99 is going to probably fall into something that's much larger and gimmicky. So considering it's probably going to be a triple changer, air and sea, we'll see how that turns out. We will see. We will see. And again, also keep in mind the explanation with Energon Surge from a story standpoint is that there's an unstable form of energon in the cyber world, and anyone who comes into contact with it, kind of loses control of themselves and grows huge. So I could totally see Starscream getting another underbase situation, or Transformers Cybertron, where he also grew huge, kind of is baked into the mythos of that character. So a large Starscream, triple changer, beast, crazy Energon Surge thing, I could totally see that for sure. Totally something like that. Will Murphy, a flying manta ray. Wouldn't surprise me. Mind you, Optimus's second Cyberworld toy comes with a weapon that kind of looks like a manta ray. So I don't know if they're going to double dip that, but maybe I'm just seeing things. Maybe it's just me. But we'll see. And speaking of huge Transformers that have gone crazy in some point and influenced by madness, let's talk about this. Oh, the list. The image doesn't work. Oh, well, I hope the other images work. Let me see. Does this one work? Okay, good. So the other one is we had a listing for Thunderwing. This is something that potentially is going to be for 2027. JT Prime 17 posted the listing. It's a commander class, Age of Evolution potentially, which is what the naming convention will be for next year instead of Age of the Primes, of a commander class Thunderwing. I did a huge segment about it just yesterday, talking about his trademark history, all the weird stuff with that, and the fact that I didn't check this morning, but yesterday he wasn't registered or trademarked with Hasbro. So someone's got to get on that. But I think he's going to be a pretender, something big, something cool. And that's exciting because I love Thunderwing. I think he's an awesome character. I don't want to reach for it right now, but some of the classic Marvel books from the Simon Furman era, those are some of my favorite Transformer stories of all time. And the Matrix Quest with Nightbeat and the crew and Thunderwing and Bludgeon falls into that. I mean, that's some hype stuff. That's some really hype stuff. So I'm very excited for that. T-Formers 2002, so no Defensor next year. Well, here's the thing, T-Formers. Think about it. We had a Studio Series 86 Devastator, and then we still had a commander class item in Age of the Primes. So it's something where I could totally see whatever is that Studio Series 86 bubble. They could just kind of throw it there because we did get two commanders per se that way. So I could see them doing that. And I believe Nate mentioned that they were probably going to increase doing commanders yearly from 1 to 2, but we'll see. We'll see because I don't think they're going to stop the combiner train anytime soon. There's too much money to be made there, and especially something like Defensor that has a really good diversity of alt modes. There's not a lot of redecos and partials you could do from Stunticons or aerial bots. You could kind of force in stuff there. Oh, take this jet and base it off of a Micromaster jet or a previously existing Trigger Con or something, which I could see. But there's not a lot that you could do there. Same thing with Bruticus. Bruticus has a little more diversity of alt modes, so there could be some fun stuff that could be done there. But when you take a Defensor, I mean, there's all kinds of great police characters that you could do from a prowl to a barricade to a streetwise to road police. If you want to go to 6 turbo from Operation Combination, if you want to go with the deep cut with that, obviously Holly, from Transformers Victory. So there's all those police ones. Then you get into ambulances. There's all kind of ambulance transformers from Fix-It to Ratchet, so it's just there's a lot of fun stuff that could be done. Fire trucks, helicopters, motorcycles, a lot of cool things that could be done with Defensor. Full transparency, Defensor was the first combiner I ever owned as a kid. I always have a soft spot for Defensor. He's probably my favorite combiner outside of, let's say, Road Caesar, because I just love Road Caesar as a character. I think it's cool. But I've always liked Defensor, so I feel that there's a lot that could be done there. A lot. And I saw already during the John Warden era of Hasbro when we had Combiner Wars, Defensor he got milked because it was just like, yeah, there's a lot you could do with a fire truck. There's a lot you could do with a police car. There's a lot you could do with a helicopter. So there was a lot of potential there. So that's kind of the way I see it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But that trademark thing is still concerning to me. Like, why is the trademark not filed yet? And that's what goes into what I've said before about stolen toys. That always bothered me is that a lot of times there's been stolen product from Hasbro and Takara that some of these reviewers would get, and they would get it so early that we didn't even know about listings, we didn't even know about products or anything. And some of those stolen products were stolen so early from the production run that we didn't even know that the trademarks were registered. And that's where it gets really risky. Hasbro, back in the Bakon days, used to ask people to please, sometimes keep a lid on some of the stuff that got, because stolen stuff during 2008, 2009, 2010, it was crazy how much product was getting stolen from the Chinese factories. This was Jetta Plastics back in the day when China was doing the manufacturing of product. And there were some big name YouTubers back then that were paying big money to get stolen product. And Hasbro was freaking out because, I mean, I don't want to name names, but like one of the, Revenge of the Fallen not core class. What was the price point back then? Whatever would have been, I guess, the legend scale. I think at the time it was just called legend scale, but not legend scale. Oh my god, what was it called? It was the one that was Dirt Boss. Help me out here. Anyone know what the price point was on that? Because they keep changing it. It was not core. It wasn't legends because legends at that point was the smaller scale. And then I don't think Scout was a thing yet. Was it? Was it Scout T-Formers? Did they call it Scout? I thought Scout came out around 2010. I guess Scout, but so we'll call it Scout. But there was a YouTube reviewer that got the Scout class Dirt Boss 18 months before it was going to hit retail, 9 months before BotCon was going to reveal it to the public. And they freaked the hell out because they thought initially at the time that Dirt Boss wasn't registered. Luckily, Dirt Boss was registered from some Cybertron stuff, but at the time they freaked out. And that was literally a story I heard from Hasbro employees where it was like that review made them like freak out. Like, oh my God, like if Mattel finds out we don't own Dirt Boss, they could swoop in and then we have all this product that we already like, did the packaging and all the trademarking and everything. That could screw up everything. So that's why, again, there's literally 2 Hasbro guys in the chat right now. Guys, check the legal. Make sure that Thunderwing is all tied up because it isn't right now from my perspective. And I have the same access that you guys do to the USPS patent office and trademarks. So wild. Maybe Legion, Fawnheart. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was Legion scale. I don't remember what the vernacular was for that. Because like when we left 2007 movie, there still was a regular price point with deluxe. I mean, when the 2007 movie exists, we still had mega, we still had ultra, like we were still in that era of price point naming. So, but by the time we got to Revenge of the Fallen, things kind of got renamed. But T-Formers 2002. Speaking of Bakon, you finally got your hands on the 2011 Stunticon pack. I heard about that story. T-Formers. I heard about how it was a nightmare. And speak of the devil, Mr. Archer, welcome to the madness. But yeah, it's just, so I hope that that's all lined up and the trademark works out and stuff and they're able to make it happen because I love Thunderwing. I think he's a great figure. I think he's a great character. The original toy is awesome. The new versions of him are awesome. Aaron Archer made a mini con of him once, actually made 2 mini cons of him. So a lot of good stuff going on. A lot of good stuff. So check that out, yo. Next up, guess that slide didn't work, but this one will work. This was the controversial one this weekend, and I tried to spin it positively from what was said in between the lines. Uh, the Game Business Show sat down and did a 25-minute interview. There was some cuts, so it was edited, but a 25-minute interview with current Hasbro CEO Chris Cox, and there was a lot of interesting discussions there. Chris is really good with his corporate speak. A lot of questions were answered very safely. He was clearly very relaxed, wasn't put on the hot seat, so maybe these questions were planned in advance. But the 2 big ones that relate to us as Transformer fans were the discussions of AI being used within the company and specifically with Transformers and video games. We'll start with the video game one first, because that's the one that probably was more intriguing than it was controversial. But the main thing that he brought up, which I will agree with Chris, is the future of the company, in that Hasbro's history, founded by the Hassenfeld brothers all those years ago in the 1920s, was a traditional game company. They weren't an action figure company. They weren't a toy company. They were a traditional game company, specifically board games. And the natural evolution of traditional games would be obviously digital games and video games. And the focus on more so on video games and traditional games is true to Hasbro's history. So I will take his side with that statement, because the discussion was, that Wizards of the Coast and their video game division made them way more money than the toy division, which is the traditional games and the digital games made more money than the action figure and toyetic stuff on the other side of the office, so to speak. So there is going to be a greater focus of that going into 2027. They have 5 studios across different parts of the world that they're going to be working with to work on AAA games. I like the mention that he said that, hey, I know there's a lot of licensed Hasbro product games out there right now that are of subpar quality. Now, he didn't say subpar quality, but the way that he worded it was, lower effort, which is like, there's like 5 different, live cell phone games of Transformers right now from different licensors of the brand that are not made by Hasbro. They're made by licensed people that are making these cell phone games. They're gotcha games. They are what they are. But he said that the whole point of doing stuff like that is that these licensors pay a huge sum of money to have the Transformers license, to have the G.I. Joe license, to have the whatever Visionaries, My Little Pony, whatever, to have those licenses to then make their low effort games. Drip Drop Studios with, let's say, Cyberverse, and then Insomniac, not Insomniac, what was the company that did the Earthspark game on the Switch? But, all these low effort games. But he said that the money that we get by all these companies giving us money to license out our IP to make their efforts, we then take that money and put it towards internally in the company to make a triple A game of our IP later on. So if we have to have 5 mid-tier crappy cell phone games of Transformers and to take that licensing money and to put it aside, invest it into a potentially good product of a AAA nature of a Transformer game, that's kind of fantastic news to hear. And again, he didn't say that directly. It was really the corporate speak of it, of trying to explain the future of what's going on with how they're allocating the assets and why stuff is licensed and why stuff is done in-house in other areas. So that was one part that was very positive. There was other stuff that's kind of like, okay, the departure of toys and how things are changing. When he gets into the conversation of AI, he first kind of let it know that they have been using AI for the past 18 months now, primarily from a bookkeeping perspective. So they were using it for accounting. They were using it for a lot of other little things here and there. He did mention that AI has been used in their toy division for making flat 2D prototypes into 3D renders. They've been using AI to make those 3D renders. Now, they didn't specify which brands are doing this. For all we know, this could just be the Star Wars guys, where they have a concept drawing of a Star Wars character, and then they throw it into AI, and then C-Dance 2.0 turns it into a 3D render. And so, yeah, the guy who did 3D renders, or the guy who used to sculpt, resin prototypes that would make, a prototype, those guys are now obviously going to be out of work. But that they didn't really specify if that's the Transformer team or if it's the G.I. Joe team or the whatever. But he did say that that is something they have been doing. So AI is a part of this company. It is something that they're obviously going to actively look at more. And the reality of it is, and this isn't me endorsing it, it's the reality of the situation, is that they look at AI as a way to have cost-cutting measures. Why pay an individual a salary annually a year, and heaven forbid you give them any kind of benefits on the way out or, time off? Why do any of that when you have a program that could save you $100K a year? And that $100K a year then goes towards telling your investors, hey, we saved money in XYZ. Because the sad reality is investors, they don't care about people getting laid off. Investors don't care about anything else but if their investment went up or if it went down. And the reality is a lot of Hasbro investors, especially me, I've sat through investor calls when Brian Goldner was still alive, and he was doing those investor calls with 2 other individuals from Hasbro's Ivory Tower, and he would do those investor calls. You would see that a lot of the people who were part of these investor calls that were big name investors in the company, they weren't fans of Hasbro. They weren't fans of toys. They weren't fans of play. These were people that were going, hey, I put my money with you guys. Convince me why I should keep my money with you guys instead of pulling it out and putting it with Microsoft or Google or Facebook or anywhere else, or just dropping it in the S&P 500, So you saw that straight up. And it's sad. There's the moral side against the money side, the M&M, morals against money, and it always becomes an issue, but it's something that always comes up a lot, and I feel like it's something that's going to come up a lot more in the future. And the fact that AI was even brought up in, a situation where AI for a lot of us is a dirty word, but the fact that it was brought up and then mentioned so candidly in a positive light implies that we'll probably be seeing a lot more of it in the future. And this is just the softening of this to get used to it later on. Like, hey, we already talked about it before. This shouldn't be a surprise to you. Here's more of it. I mean, I'll be honest with you, like they were talking about AI and 3D printing as far back as 2017. It's just that back then it was just a frame, a fraction of what it is today. I mean, go look at AI videos back in 2017. They were comical at best. So interesting. Again, if you want to sit down and listen to the whole 25-minute interview, it's the Game Business Show. It's on YouTube. Again, what I said pretty much simplifies a lot of the corporate speak. There's going to be a lot of words that are going to go over your head of like, financial fungible index ratings. And it's like, well, what? So it's like, okay. Yeah. So you're going to have to like take my word on this. That's pretty much, as a Transformer fan, what matters. And again, emphasis on media, mixed media, all the media partners, building that relationship, and hopefully we'll get a good Transformer game in the future. As they said, I forgot to mention that, a potential action adventure or RPG like game. Whatever that means, because that could go one way or another. Action adventures like Link and, Zelda, and RPG is more Final Fantasy, but we'll see with that one. Take from that what you will. And that's it, more or less. What's up, Cringe? Cringe in the house. Cringe did a really good review of our Lio Kaiser HasLab that just came out. Go check that one out if you get a chance. And yes, Tom Laney, they did do quite a few layoffs not too long ago, and that's kind of a reality as time progresses, and things start to become more clear of what is necessary and what's not necessary. That stuff is going to happen. And trust me, it's not me taking AI's side. I've used this term many times. It's kind of just what's happening from a business and natural progression from companies. Companies are always about cutting costs and firing people in the same way that, go to the Detroit Rust Belt. As someone who comes from the car industry, I'm even wearing an Initial D jacket right now. Someone who comes from the car industry, go to the Detroit Rust Belt. And when they started phasing out building American cars in Detroit, and some of them even being made in China, and then all of the people who got laid off during that period of time in the mid to late 80s and especially in the 90s. So it's just that they're always trying to find a way to cut costs in any way, and if they have to outsource it, they used to outsource it to cheaper labor across the country. Oh, we're going to outsource product being made in America to China because it's cheaper to have it made in China. Imagine if you could outsource your product being made to a robot. And now not even people in China are being paid. It's just a data center and it's AI and it's robots and it's doing that. I mean, there was a video that was going around just 2 days ago. I don't know if anyone saw it, where Amazon is going to be using robots to sort packages, and they said that robot could work 18 hours without having to be maintained, where a human being has to go for bathroom breaks, has to have lunch breaks and stuff. And they almost made it sound like, how dare they have the lunch break and the bathroom break, where this thing could go 18 hours and do 2,000 packages, where the human, because it has to stop for an hour to have a lunch and 30 minutes and 5 minutes for a bathroom break or whatever, they'll only do 700. So it's terrible from the moral standpoint, but the business side of it is like, this is what we do. It's always about saving money, saving money. The only sad thing is, and we've said this many times, all that money is saved, but it never goes back to the consumer. It always goes back to the investors, and it always goes back to the CEOs. What happened was, around the time of the late 80s, early 90s, is a lot of CEOs started getting jealous of each other and wanted to one up each other in wealth. And the only way you could do that is you got to cut the bottom to give more to the top. I always love to use wrestling as a term. In the 90s, every wrestler was struggling to make money, but Vince McMahon was a millionaire. So, but the unfortunate thing is the wrestlers were not smart enough to realize that. Some of them were smart enough and went to WCW and got paid. But a lot of them were like, hey man, how come I'm doing a show and I'm making $300, and of those $300, I got to pay for my own hotel and flights, and they had to pay for everything. They had to pay their own way. They had to pay for their own equipment and everything. And then Vince would be like, oh, we don't have any money. We need to take the water coolers out of the office. And while on Vince was living in a mansion in, Burbank, not Burbank, in, oh my God, where was it that he was at in the Northeast? Anyways, but he was in his rich area, you know, with all of his guys and stuff. And that's the reality, is that the top is always going to get the most that they can now, more than ever. And, the old saying goes, you could move that decimal point, one spot to the left, and it would really help out an individual, but then that takes away from them, you know? Oh, you give me $5 more, but that's $5 less for the CEO. It wasn't Hartford cringe. It was Stanford. Thank you. You fixed my memory. It was Stanford, Connecticut. There we go. Stanford, Connecticut. And there's Brandon. Stanford, Connecticut. There you go. Like, he had this giant, humongous mansion in Stanford, and then he had 2 houses in Hawaii, and then he would turn to guys like, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and say, I can't give you more than $400 a night. So it is what it is. And that's one example, but there's millions of examples of that. And I mean, look, let's be real about costs and everything like it. When you're talking, look, we have to do the price increases because of plastic costs. We have to do the price increases because of oil costs. We have to do the price increases because of tariffs. We have to do the price increases because of inflation. All of these things. But it's only been going up. It's only been going up and up. There's never been a period of time where it's like, hey, celebration, good news, it's going down. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. If it does go down, it's because something was cut drastically, taken away something. So, but that's my rant on that. That's always been something that never been a fan of. Alden Tolbert with the $2 super chat. I got David Sobolov's autograph at MomoCon yesterday. David Sobolov's a really cool dude. He's good old depth charge. He's Shockwave from Transformers Prime. Really cool dude. He's like a dude that looks like he could kick some ass. Looks like a jack dude. And he has an awesome voice. So very cool guy. He's quite a regular at a few TF cons, especially when it's the West Coast ones. Me, I'm looking forward to Toronto because we're gonna have Brent Miller, who's the voice of Hotshot from all the Unicron trilogy stuff. And to my knowledge, he hasn't done a Transformer convention yet, including the old day BotCon stuff. So that's a really cool one. That's a really, really cool one. That's going to be worth getting. But yeah, that's it more or less. Also, speaking of conventions, I actually have this slide queued up. I don't know if it'll work because everything keeps getting screwed up here with the new updates from my streaming software. But there's going to also be a Mega Man convention next year. They contacted me and wanted me to kind of help promote that. Full transparency, I'm going to be there as a guest. The Mega Man Convention 2000X Expo, which is going to be in Seattle, Washington, August 27th to the 29th, 2027 next year. This is to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Mega Man, and a whole bunch of guests are already planned. Ian Corlett, who was the voice of the original Mega Man, and of course Goku from Dragon Ball and Cheetor from Beast Wars. He's going to be there. We have a whole bunch of other guys too that are going to be coming down. So that's going to be a cool big convention. But because this is their first ever one, they want to start it on a good foot, and they're doing it very smart. They're doing a Kickstarter that's available right now. If you go on Google and type 2000X Expo Kickstarter, they're doing a Kickstarter. If they could reach 100K, and they're almost there, they're at about 70 right now. But if they could reach 100K, they could really run a crazy big convention and be able to have a whole bunch of Japanese guests and regular guests and comic book creators and voice actors. And they're going to have a dealer room and all kinds of stuff. I have no joke. I sat down and thought about it. I've been to over 50 different Transformer conventions in the past 25 years. Easily, because I started going to Transformer conventions in 2001 with my very first BotCon. And I've been especially with TFCon is 3 a year. And back in the day when there was one TFCon and one BotCon, you were always going to 2 a year. And then I started adding it up. I've been to over 50 Transformer conventions in over 25 years. And yet, like my other passions of video games and stuff, there never was a Mega Man convention. So they're trying to pull something off. Be really cool if they do. So check out their Kickstarter, 2000X Expo on Kickstarter. And again, if you're interested, I mean, the one thing I've been telling everyone, because there's a lot of people in the Mega Man community that are like, oh man, it's so far away. How am I going to be able to get there? Hey, brother, you got more than a year to plan this out. Way more than a year, you know? So you put $50 aside over the next couple of months, you could figure something out. I worked at Burger King back in the day, making 8.50 an hour. But the good thing about Brian Savage, I know people always rag on Brian Savage of BotCon back, but Brian Savage used to let you know a year in advance when the next BotCon was. And that gave me plenty of time to put a little bit of my paycheck aside so I could get that flight from Montreal to wherever it was going to be, Chicago, San Diego, Florida, LA, wherever it would be. I'd find a way, even with a terrible paycheck. I'd figure it out. But yeah, so just check that out too. I just wanted to give them a little plug and wish them all the best to make that happen. Uh, Secret Kingdom, hey Proto, is your comic a good way to get into your franchise? Well, I mean, the Mega Man X book that I'm writing, I wrote it from a standpoint that if you never played the games, you would be able to understand what's going on. But if you did play the games, it's the stuff in the background that you'll appreciate. Like I'm big on here, so this is the latest issue. I'm really big on Easter egg stuff in the background and everything. And let me just give a quick example. So, like, here's a piece of art with Zero, right? This was done by the awesome Hanzo from Japan, who I've been working with on this book. And this piece of art, to anyone, oh, it's a cool piece of art of Zero with the little prong in his hand that he got from Sting Chameleon. This is actually an homage to his X4 art that was featured in the instruction manual back on the PlayStation 1 back in the 90s. So we do little things like that. There's all these little nods and little things like this. Like anyone who knows what's going on here with Dr. Light with one piece of his lab coat, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Little nods here and there. If you're a hardcore fan, you pick up on those little things. But if you're reading it for the story and everything like that, you're able to read right along and understand everything that's going on with that too. So, I mean, look, this has been a dream come true. It's been Mega Man has been a big part of my life. When I first got the internet, like my screen name being Proto Man comes from Mega Man, and to get an opportunity to steer that brand and do something like when they hired me, they weren't just hiring a writer, they weren't hiring someone who understood the brand. They were hiring someone who understood business, who understood writing to two different audiences, pleasing those audiences, understanding the mainstream audience, but also not disrespecting the fans that have been here for the past 40 years. So we're doing that. We've been doing it very successfully. The books have been selling insanely well. And it's thanks to you guys that have showed up. And of course, everyone else in the comic book world. We keep making the top 200, which is crazy to see me beating the likes of Todd McFarlane's Spawn and everything. But we've been doing really good. And again, I try to give back. I've been getting guys within the Transformer world to help work with the book. This is Marcelo Mattieri's cover, really good one. This is literally, if you go to comic stores right now, you'll find this cover. This is the Marcelo cover. Marcelo, of course, is the guy who does all the box art for Age of the Primes and stuff. He did the recent box art with Sentinel Prime. That was Marcelo. Just a lot of really cool stuff going on. Sorry, one moment. Just gonna move my screen here. But yeah, it's just everything's been great, man. It's been great, and again, I'm grateful for all the awesome stuff going on, and all the success we got. The free comic book day book, that was a madly insane huge success. This one, we shipped over 100,000 copies of this. 100,000 copies, which in modern comic book standards is unheard of. And again, to do just you know Just an awesome Proto Man story, you know, dream come true. But again, thanks for all the love and support from you guys. You guys pick it up and you give all the love. But I will say this, TFCon Toronto coming up, I will try to get a small amount of inventory at the show. So if you have not been able to pick it up in your local comic book store, if you don't live in an area that has LCS, a local comic book shop, we will have some copies of some of the back issues available at TFCon Toronto. So stay tuned for that. And by the time TFCon Toronto rolls around, issue number 4 will be out. And issue number 4 is a very heavy issue. So that'll be pretty cool too. And autographs are free. Don't worry about that. um, but yeah, Secret Kingdom, nice. I really wanted to get the figures and I really want to get into the franchise. I'm trying to figure out a good piece of content. I would suggest playing the first game. If you any console you own, you could get the Mega Man X Legacy Collection, which you could play the first 4 games easily, and they're ease of access through that. And what's cool about the Legacy Collection is you get the first 4 games, you get a museum of art, you get like art books in that Legacy Collection of games, and then you also get the OVA anime episode, The Day of Sigma. So you also get a little anime story, half-hour anime story of the origins of Mega Man X and stuff like that. So you get a nice little starter. And then when you jump into my books, then you're going to be like, ooh, okay. Then you'll really like everything. So good stuff. Draco Rex with the $2 super chat. Chances of RID Spy Changer updates. Well, we'll say this with the RID Spy Changers. How many of those trademarks are still available? Hotshot, which was originally Artfire, was one of the trademarks. Hotshot is still a trademark, which was the leader of the Spy Changers. But then when you go down that, do we still got Rev? Do we still got, like Eagle Killer, aka what was his American name? But like Daytonus. We have Mirage, we have Ironhide. Those were 2 spy changers, but they were called Counter Arrow and Ox in Japan. So I mean, they could technically get done. Look, if you have a Formula One car that's blue and white, are you going to call it Mirage? But is it a spy changer? Or is it Mirage? Is it the Mirage Spy Changer? Ironhide, it's like, do you want to do a cow printed colored pickup truck? Sure, why not? That kind of sounds a little bit like Ross Perot, at least how the way his voice was. Always sounded a little bit like Ross Perot to me. Then you have gosh, what was the other one? X Car. And then you had Wars. Wars was one of the other ones. Wars. How do you do Wars? WARS, like so many wacky, those were the weird trademark names of RID that are just like, good luck, you know? But I mean, hey, I think it would be cool to get Wars updated with his cool kanji deco and the red car and everything. I would like it. Maybe when they've scraped the bottom of the barrel and they've run out of characters, they'll start doing those ones, you know? Who knows? I still think they should probably do JRX, aka Rail Racer. I think that needs to get an update, just because the original toy is really all that exists. And the problem is the Japanese one is a nightmare because it suffers from plastic that breaks. It's too brittle. The Japanese one, specifically because of one of the members, J4, is made out of clear plastic that's brittle and breaks when you try to do combine mode. So you can't buy the Japanese one. And then as a result, you can only buy the American one. And the American one goes for $150, $200 easily today, if not more. So it's something that really needs an update desperately. Desperately. Oh, Aaron's going to go in with the names. There we go, because Aaron made all those names. Skidsy. It's Skidsy. Then you got Towline, Movor. What was the other one? Mega Octane. You couldn't just get Octane. It was Mega Octane. Yeah, all of that wildness. You had a Bruticus that was not the Bruticus that we thought. You had something that transformed into a redeco of Bruticus, but you were going to call it Bruticus. You were going to call it Ruination, but Bruticus was going to be the name of a 3-headed hellhound. Oh, the madness. And then you have Expron, and then you have all the others, It was a rebuilding time for Transformers before Armada, to say the least. But that's what car robots and robots in disguise really was at the end of the day. It was a return to form, but more of a return to form and just figuring things out with that return to form. But yeah. Let's do some sponsorship and then we'll talk about some funny stuff that we got. Not me really, more stuff that she picked up, but I figured people would appreciate that. So we got some Symbiote Studio stuff, plush pins and t-shirts. I'm rocking an older Symbiote Studio shirt today from their Flesh Eater series. But the plush, the pins, and the t-shirts, we will be revealing a brand new San Diego Comic-Con exclusive plush and a retail plush officially from Hasbro very, very soon here on the podcast. Aaron says here, I didn't know what I didn't know. Exactly. Exactly. It's a different time. It's a different time. It's okay, Aaron. It was 25 years ago. It was a quarter of a century ago. Ugh. So it's okay. It was a quarter of a century ago. Let's just say it that way. It was a different time. So we got those beautiful plushes happening. All the new items. Again, if you go to their website right now, they got the brand new swoops. You can complete your Dinobots, the Shoulder Sitter, Laserbeak, the Starscream Catnip Bravo, which you could swap out the outfits and everything, and more. Check that out. My Little Pony, Magic the Gathering, pins, plush, all the good stuff. I love those magic pins. I keep saying it because I love them. Awesome stuff. Check it out. SymbioteStudios.com. Beautiful sponsor of the podcast for many a year and many a more, and a regular at TF Cons. Then, of course, we also have the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. We'll have a new segment soon enough. Aaron's busy with his special projects right now, but we will have another segment cooking in the very near future, so stay tuned for that. And of course, if you want to check out these segments, check out the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. If you like listening to my voice here, go check us out over there. Listen to Aaron's sweet, subtle voice as he talks about GoBots, as he talks about aliens, as he talks about Batman, and he talks about Beyblades and letting it rip with Steve Bono. So check that out. Good stuff. We'll hopefully have more segments. I'd really like to do a Pokemon and a Metabot one in the near future, but we'll see. We're gonna plan a bunch of stuff in the near future, and of course the Posca paintings. Got to talk about the Posca paintings. Aaron put up a Galvatron, but it has sold since then, so I had to update the photo here. But yeah, go check it out. There's a limited supply of Posca paintings. When they go up, they quickly sell out some of them. So go check it out, archermonster.com/shop. Only one of one piece of Transformers history, the Posca paintings on the original 20 to 25-year-old instructions drawn by the guy who designed those wacky robots. Frame it, make it look cool, enjoy it, just like Shia, just like Josh, and just like many more in the near future. Check it out, archermonster.com/shop. Check it out, yo. And again, I already have to promote it, but hey, here and there's my comic. It's already out anyways, but check that out. Cover A by, I'll give a shout out to all the beautiful cover artists. Cover A by Hanzo from Japan. Cover B from Edwin Huang, who's located in the west coast of the United States. Cover C by Marcelo Materi, who's right now in Vancouver in the west side of Canada. Cover D, which is the Super Nintendo cover done by Chamba. He's located in the east coast of the United States. And cover E, the Women of Mega Man cover done by the amazing, she's incredible, Atomic Marshmallow. That is her screen name. She's located in Japan also and doing a fantastic job. Check it out, yo. Go to your local comic book shop, ask for Proto Man's Mega Man X book, and enjoy the awesomeness and get equipped. Yeah. So then, what did we get? Not much. It's Formula One weekend. So me and the wife went downtown, enjoy the races, enjoy the awesome cars. Everyone's bringing out their supercars, their Lambos and Ferraris and everything. And so we were just enjoying the food, the culture, because when you go downtown, we're going to have good Montreal food. We're going to have, we're going to see the races. We're going to enjoy all that stuff. But then she saw that. So they did a K-pop Demon Hunter promotion with McDonald's. I think it was last year with the United States. because of language laws, it finally has come here. And so we got the K-pop Demon Hunter meal from McDonald's just for the hell of it. And whatever, it's okay, I guess. You know, I mean, the biggest takeaway from it with her was so like, and again, this is language laws. So you have the Huntrix meal, but it's La Boîte Huntrix the meal. So this is why I got delayed. Language laws. Thank you, Quebec, and the Saja boys and all this. This is, oh geez, dropping it everywhere. This is again, my wife was like wanted to pick it up, and it comes with trading cards. It comes with trading cards, and we got apparently we got a rare card, which is that's kind of cool that they're doing trading cards that like you could, you know. So we got a rare. Apparently this is a rare one, and then you got one of these fruity looking dudes. But whatever, that's not my world. Not my world with the K-pop dudes. So I'm my little soda pop. Okay. So she picked that up. The food was good though. It was some kind of spicy nugget stuff or whatever. Not my thing. The food was good, but the other stuff wasn't. Yeah, it comes with photo cards. But then she also picked up apparently this is on sale. I don't know. She said it was a really good price. This Animal Crossing set, $15 Canadian. I don't know. You tell me in the chat. So she was like really stoked. Apparently this is like 40 bucks or something. And then she got this one here too, this Animal Crossing one. She's a Lego person, so she knows it better than I do, and I know there's people in the chat that know it better than I do, so it is what it is. But I got this too. This is some gummies of Super Mario Kart. Uh Pretty much all the gummies are just shapes from the track, pretty much, like all the little item weapons and everything, you know. So I'll try it at some point later on. I'm not in the mood to eat the gummies now, like we did with the He-Man ones we had last time. I think there's gonna be no surprise with these ones here. They're probably just all fruit ones. But so I picked that up. And not much else. Like again, I was there for the race. Wasn't really there to spend money, you know. And of course, obviously, as Secret just mentioned, also what a weekend for Montreal because we have the Formula One, and then the Montreal Canadiens are also in the playoffs. We're literally like 5 games away from winning the Stanley Cup if everything works out perfectly. Or no, actually 6 games away. Um, because we're doing very good. Maybe this is our year. So, in the playoff for the Stanley Cup in the NHL hockey. So, needless to say, everywhere you go in Montreal, there's Montreal Canadian flags flying everywhere. So it's been a quite a awesome time to be in my city over the past few while. Yeah, technically 7. If we win every game, it'll be technically 7, and we probably won't. Although we destroyed Carolina that first game, and I did not expect that because Carolina was doing pretty good on their side. So we'll see. We'll see. Last time we won a Stanley Cup was 1993. We still have the most Stanley Cups out of any sports team. That's going to be out of any hockey team. We have the second most, like the Montreal Canadiens. Here's an interesting fun fact. Out of every sports team that has ever existed, we have the second most championships. Obviously, the Yankees have more with their pennants, but then we have the most Stanley Cups from our sport. But then within hockey, there's no one that even comes close with that. So it's been a while. It's been a while. So yeah, Patrick Waugh when he was in net. See, here's the thing. I don't want to bore people with hockey. On the other side, right now the Colorado Avalanche is moving up. I would love it if the Avalanche makes it to the finals and then we face them in the finals because in 1993 we had Patrick Waugh. Patrick left us in 94, 95 and joined Colorado and won a cup for them. So it'd be kind of serendipitous if we face Colorado in the final and beat them. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That's what I would like to see. But yeah, that's what I would like to see. But I always like a nice romantic sports story. So, you know, that would be cool. But we'll see. Again, it's been quite stressful. And I always know that that My wife doesn't really watch sports that often, but she's been paying attention to all the hockey stuff recently because she got to see firsthand. Like she she never followed hockey, and she didn't even know that the Montreal Canadiens were like the most winning hockey team of all time. But she saw how much the city has transformed. No pun intended. Thank you for the super chat. No pun intended. Since us doing so well, that it's time. It's time. It's time. Here, you want to see a funny photo of Proto Man? This is when we were downtown at the Formula One. We were at the hockey, our little Hall of Fame that we have. So there's like a statue of a guy, like in the audience, like a fan. So there's me with a statue of him. It's a little blurry, but and there's me like taking pictures of some of the merch. It was great. It was great. We went to the Montreal, like we have like a mini Hall of Fame in Montreal's forum. We went downtown. We checked the Formula One stuff. It was a good day. It was a good day. Good day. And then next weekend, I'm not sure. Next weekend we're probably going to do some other stuff because next weekend is Proto Man's birthday. So we got some stuff planned too. Stay tuned for that. At least I'll have some cool stuff to show you guys because I'll probably maybe pick something up for my. I'll get a good present for myself for my birthday, and we'll see what else I get. But yeah, it's okay. Draco Rex, so what was your super chat with $2? Chances of getting a Transmetal 2 Cheetor update. Well, I mean, I think we should get a Transmetal 1 update first, but I mean, right now, if I always tell people if you want like really good updates of the Beast Wars characters that are kind of outside of what Kingdom has been doing with Hasbro, Transarts, that third party company, has been making some black magic. They've been, gosh, everything that they do, I love. Like they've done like a Transmetal 2 Black Arachnia. They've done like every design that people have been clamoring over. They even did the Transmetal 2 Black Arachnia in RC colors. And then they did some new sculpting on it and stuff. So fantastic stuff. So I would check out Transart if you're interested. I know it's a third party company and usually I don't endorse third party, but if there's something that's meaty and I don't know if we're ever going to get around to masterpieces of that kind of stuff. So who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But let's see. Beast Wars 30th needs more love. Yeah, man. Like, I mean, the next thing we're probably going to see is probably going to be that Maximal pack to complement the Predacon one, which actually just started showing up. Some people just started getting it in their mailboxes as of a week ago. So, I mean, it's a cool looking pack. So if they did a Maximal one, that'd be welcome. But yeah, I know. Look, trust me, I love the '86 movie. It's one of my most favorite things of all time. It's got my boy in there as the featured character. I will never hate on the '86 movie, but '86 movie characters and '86 movie always get plenty of love. Beast Wars was a small little pocket of time that when Transformers was ruling the world, and I feel it should get more love because it literally, I don't care what anyone says. You want to talk about saving the brand? Beast Wars saved the brand. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, the Michael Bay movies came around and saved the brand too, and brought it to new heights that we've never seen since. But Beast Wars brought Transformers out of obscurity because look, I did a huge post on Twitter just recently kind of talking about this, but after 1987, Transformers was never the same. Ninja Turtles came and said, "Hey, we're going to take it from here, guys. Take care." Boom, tag in. And Transformers was just kind of playing, background music at that point. Hey guys, we still have Pretenders. Hey guys, Micromasters. Hey guys, Action Masters. And then it's like, oh, we're going to do Project G2. We're going to save Transformers, because 1992 was a disaster year. There was like there was no joke. Here's 1992 for Transformers. 4 figures that came out in the UK, 2 manga pages in Japan, and that's it. That was 1992. It was rough. 93, Project G2 comes out. They drop G2. Here's G2. here's our new Transformer line, Generation 2, check it out. And then Power Rangers just comes out of nowhere. Hey guys, this is Bandai of America's Power Rangers. And just G2 just got put into the gutter and Power Rangers took over the world. If you were there, you know. So it was just pushed into obscurity. Nobody cared. And then Beast Wars came and then people cared. And man, did they care. It changed the game. So Beast Wars needs to get more love. Needs to get more love. It's kind, and it sucks because I understand why Hasbro is not giving Beast Wars more love, because there was a few muscle memory moments of money, the M&Ms, that made them say otherwise. Hey, we're going to do a Beast Wars reissue line. How well did that do? Every single release went on clearance. Hey, we're going to do a Beast Wars high budget Michael Bay movie, Rise of the Beasts. Obviously it was Stephen Caple Jr., but like Michael Bay level, AAA Hollywood movie, Rise of the Beasts, Optimus Primal. People get excited. It doesn't matter if the movie was good or bad. The hype was trying to say, hey, this is Beast Wars. Tell me how many people showed up. That movie broke even at best, maybe even lost some money. So from Hasbro's perspective, you know what I mean? If nobody's showing up, are they going to do more Beast Wars? So they're always going to do what works. If all of a sudden Transformers that are all dressed in skirts, spitting one-liners from, Rocky movies makes them billions of dollars, they're going to do that tomorrow. They're going to always do what works, because that's always been Transformers' thing. What is working? Try to do that. Oh, micro machines are popular. Let's do Micro Masters. Oh, action figures with Toy Biz are popular because of what's going on with Marvel. Let's do Action Masters. Oh, Power Rangers is popular. Let's do multicolored Dinobots. Like I could go on and on. Oh, Jurassic Park is huge, and the eyeball from Jurassic Park of the T-Rex in the window from the famous T-Rex scene. Let's make that the logo of the brand of Beast Wars for every card back. Velociraptors, which no one knew what the hell that was until Jurassic Park. Let's make that a thing in Beast Wars. Like, they were always following the trends of what is popular, because that's what's going to keep the brands going. Sometimes they made the trends, sometimes they copied the trends. Right now, they're trying to figure out the copying part again, which we're not always the best of times. Oh, Shopkins is popular. Here's BotBots. Oh, Bakugan is popular. Here's Bot Shots. Lego is popular. Here's Creo. And before we end up working with Lego, because Creo didn't work out with Korea. So, again, I would love it if Beast Wars was just dominating everything. But unfortunately, Beast Wars had a few steps at bat. Swing, swing, swing. 3 strikes, my friend. Maybe in a couple of years. So, it is what it is. I can understand why some decisions are made. I can't argue to have more Beast Wars stuff if it doesn't sell. That's the reality. I hate to say it, but that's the reality. And this is coming from a guy who thinks, ask me, what's your favorite Transformer series of all time? Proto Man, Beast Wars. What's the line that saved Transformers in the 90s? Beast Wars. What's the line that popularized ball joints, hyper articulation, storing the weapons on the figures? Yeah, it existed a little bit with the laser rods. It existed a little bit with the cyber jets, but Beast Wars made that a standardization. What was the line that brought the standardization of price points that we still use to this very day? Beast Wars. And even me, I'll say, hey, if it's not selling, what do you want me to do? If we do an entire line of Transmetals updated and no one buys it except me, you, and everyone here in the chat, that's not enough to carry a line. So there's what I love, and then there's what makes sense. And what makes sense is important to the longevity of this brand going forward, even if it sometimes doesn't feel right. Even if it sometimes doesn't feel right. That's why I make the big bucks helping with the brands, because you gotta use your logic with that kind of stuff. Your feelings are going to get you into trouble way too many times. But that's a sad reality. But I love Beast Wars. But if you want better Beast Wars product or new products, look to a third party right now. That's what I say. Get TransArt stuff. That stuff is animation perfect. I'm looking at, Michael Koo got me the Ravage X9 version, their masterpiece Ravage, has magnets on the side, it holds the guns. It's the most gorgeous looking thing ever. And they did a Ravage X9, Hasbro. They did that Ravage pack there. This blows that out of the water. So we don't know. We don't know if it look, it's not that there's zero evidence that Transmetals won't sell, is that so far we've done Beast Wars toys and they haven't been selling. That's what we know. Hey guys, here's Cheetor. Didn't sell. Optimus Primal didn't sell. Megatron didn't sell. Scorponok didn't sell. Pterosaur didn't sell. Retrax, well, that one doesn't surprise me if it didn't sell. Rat Trap, mega bucket clearance, Black Friday, get it out of here, $3 a piece. Okay, Beast Wars movie didn't sell. Tarantulas, part of the Transformers Legacy line. He ended up being part of the Black Friday clearance. Fantastic figure. I love that Tarantulas figure. Part of the Black Friday stuff. Remember those Black Friday 2-packs? There was an excess of Tarantulases. Too many of them. Way too many of them.
Megatron must be stopped.
Rudy Mack, Hasbro offered the public a re-release of Retrax. Well, yeah, that one I don't know why they did that one. I mean, if you had to name every Beast Wars toy ever made and you had to decide which was one of the worst, Retrax probably makes everyone's top 5 worst Beast Wars toys. And the fact that they decided to pick that is a very peculiar choice. And Retrax possesses a lot of materials that are not common in Transformer toys. He has die-cast, little springs and stuff like that, a lot of heavy plastics, weird deco hits. What a weird choice. Someone at Hasbro who made that decision, I'd really like to know who that was and what was the reasoning behind it, outside of it either being a joke or somehow that was his favorite figure or they were behind the design of it. I don't know. It's a weird one. Hey, what's up, Mikey and Louie? So it is what it is. It is what it is. But it's trust me, I want to be with you guys there. I want to have nothing but Beast Wars. New Beast Wars cartoon, new Beast Wars figures, modern this. Every masterpiece that comes out of Beast Wars, I buy day one. I don't even question it. But I'm looking at them right now. It doesn't sell. People are not buying them. And it's just because I want to believe, this is just my take on it. I think that the kids, see, here's the thing, right? So the kids that grew up with G1, right? They still continue to be fans of G1. They still continue to be lovers of toys and 80s brands. Like G1 kids either went on to be G.I. Joe kids or they ended up collecting Ninja Turtles. So they still were toy kids, Power Rangers kids. They still played with toys. And when Beast Wars came around, Power Ranger kids were still playing with Power Ranger toys, and there was that similar play pattern because Power Rangers is robots and combiners with the action figures and the monster element. And then when they go to Beast Wars, you still have that of the transformations and the combining and the robot elements. So they still had that even over that span of time. But the problem with Beast Wars kids, if you started as a Beast Wars kid, you're 5 years old and you started playing with Beast Wars toys in 1996 because of the cartoon, within a short 3 years, Pokemon came out. And Pokemon just rocked the world. It's the number one brand ever is Pokemon. And I think that every kid that was 5, 6, 7, 8 that grew up on Beast Wars grew up to be Pokemon fans and never went back. They just picked up a Game Boy, played Red and Blue, got the trading cards, bought the Hasbro PVCs, later on Jax, You know, they got all that stuff and they looked at their Beast Wars and that just went into garage sales, which is how Proto Man got a lot of his Beast Wars toys, you know? So like that stuff just got bye-bye. And I think that those Beast Wars kids today that are in their 30s, they're still Pokemon guys. They're buying Pokemon cards and they do remember Beast Wars, but they have a passion for Beast Wars like I have a passion for collecting RoboCop action figures. Meaning, I'll get this and that, but I'm not dedicating a significant amount of my financial budget to it. Oh, that's a cool RoboCop figure from afar. So it's kind of the same thing. I loved RoboCop as a kid. I have this and that in terms of action figures, but I'm not like actively part of a community or buying stuff or like every NECA RoboCop toy that comes out or Hot Toys, or t-shirt or remake or DVD release. I've moved on to other things. And I think that that's kind of what happened. There's a lot of Beast Wars kids that became Pokemon kids and never went back. Never went back. And again, you if you didn't live that time, you do not understand how much Pokemon changed the world from a business standpoint, from anime importing, from, just production goods. The Pokemon toys didn't have to be like, manufactured. Oh, Tomy already had these PVCs ready to go. Just import them, maybe change the colors a little bit, include a pog with it and a little, Aaron worked on that line. He knows what I'm talking about, you know? Aaron wasn't with Beast Wars at that time. But it's just something where I think that that's what happened is the Beast Wars nostalgia is there, but the fans, the kids that grew up with it are so anchored into something else. I'm trying to think of, I wish I could think of something that's like a better comparison. It's kind of like, I don't know, if it's like if you were a kid who like really, I'm trying to think of something that was also really popular during Beast Wars. Let me try to think of something. Like Reboot, maybe not, that's more Canadian, but I'm trying to think of something that was like a second tier thing, but it's just there was just stuff that came around that just didn't, the fans just didn't grow with it. They found something that was bigger and better to them. And Pokemon was huge, huge, huge. Video games, trading cards, action figures, food products, movies in theaters that were breaking box office records, cartoons, every facet of media completely covered. Look how good Beast Wars video game run was. You had a crappy PC PlayStation 1 game by Hasbro Interactive, and then Genesia did a half decent fighter. Yeah, there was a Game Boy game in Japan, but I'm not going to count that one. But that was it. During the peak Beast Wars times of those 3 to 4 years, that's all they had. What about extra goods outside of the action figures? 2 Milton Bradley puzzles and 1 board game by Milton Bradley called the Mutating Card Game. That's it. No Beast Wars TCG, no Beast Wars food products. Again, unless you're Japan, then you had the Beast Wars sausages that had Rat Trap on the cover. It's a whole other story. It was terribly marketed because you had the action figures by Kenner, later Hasbro, and then you had scant little items on the side. TV show, action figures, not much else. Not much else. 90s X-Men was huge. T-Formers 2002. 1991, 1992, Toy Biz as a company, literally the way they were feeding themselves was because of those X-Men toys. Avi Averad, Haim Saban, those guys were eating good at that time because of the 90s X-Men and Toy Biz Entertainment. Mikey Lou, love G1, love Beast Wars. Why truck or monkey? Truck and monkey. Well, we did get a truck and monkey just recently through Cyberverse. So it finally did happen. But it's just something where, I mean, you can't force people to like something. And I think that today it's a difficulty. Rudy Mack with the $5 super chat. Your theory makes sense. I'm from G1 era. I was out chasing girls during original Beast Wars run. Didn't think I've seen the series until 2006. Well, again, it's a different case because you were already aged out of the demo. You know, it's different if you're aged out of the demographic. That's the same thing for you, Rudy Mack. Like, I'm sure you didn't give a shit about Pokemon, when it was taking over the world. So, but I'm saying, like, what's even more fascinating is the actual demographic itself. There was kids who loved Beast Wars, who asked for Beast Wars toys as their Christmas present, who loved the show, who religiously would wake up on Saturday mornings to watch early 7 o'clock a.m. Fox Kids to catch those episodes. And then when 1998 came around and boom, I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. And we lost them forever. And if you know what that song is, then you know. We lost them forever. And they never went back. Mark Morales, the $5 super chat. Pokemon today can't seem to stock enough cards, let alone merchandise. They get swiped from scalpers. Pop-Tarts being scalped. Let that sink in. Pokemon's insane. 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 There is no brand that has come before, after, or since that will ever have that much global appeal and financial anyone who gets the Pokemon license makes money. I was just joking about this. Imagine if they did, and I know they did, but imagine if they did like booster packs. Like you had to buy a meal at McDonald's and you got a booster pack of Pokemon cards. I know they did something similar in Japan, but imagine if they did that here. It would be a madhouse. People would be buying nuggets just to like give them to homeless people, which maybe would be a good thing, but either way, they would just be buying, Happy Meals just to get the cards. It is insane. You have no idea. I lived it. I saw it. I'll never forget. It was like 1999 going to the supermarket and there was Pokemon cereal with Pokemon cheese strings with Pokemon, half moons, the Twinkies. There was Pokemon this, there's Pokemon everywhere. And that was then. And that was 1999. We're almost 20 years since then. No, we're more than that, And it's like nothing has changed. How many brands could you say stayed that consistently on top, nonstop for that long? That is some powerful shit that needs to be studied and understood. But the unfortunate, casualty of that was Beast Wars was on the cutting edge of that. And that demographic of kids, those kids who asked for a Game Boy with Pokemon Blue for Christmas in 1998 were the same kids who just 6 months earlier were asking for that Transmetal Cheetor in Walmart. That's way too close of a timeline in a demo. It's one thing to go, yeah, well, I don't care about Pokemon because I asked for G1 Rodimus Prime in 1986. You're not that demo. When you were already of age, Pokemon wasn't on your radar because you were a grown adult. You weren't a weirdo like me that paid attention to all that kind of stuff. It's craziness. Absolute craziness. Well, it was the thing about the number one thing with Pokemon. We'll just talk about this for a moment. And this is very important to understand. Beast Wars, I don't care what anyone says. There's a lot of people on Twitter that have this discussion, but they also don't have a business brain. Transformers is a boys' toy line. I don't care what anyone says. It's a boys' toy line. Can girls buy it? Of course they can. Just like men could buy Barbie. But it's a boys' toy line. There's no question about it. It's in the boys' toy section of a toy aisle. That's what it is. It's storytelling elements. Adventure, action, war, guns, explosions, boy-oriented stuff. It's just how it is. But Pokemon is very unisex because one part of it is battling, leveling up, creating monsters and creatures. The other part of it is nurturing, the cuteness of it, Pikachu is cute. Pikachu's a mascot, like a Hello Kitty, but then it has a cuteness to it. You nurture your Pokemons, you take care of them, they become your friend. So you had these two core elements of toy branding, the boy stuff of battling and leveling up and creatures and monsters and electric attacks and da 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 and all that stuff that boys like, oh, different kinds of rock paper scissors things of that water could beat this and that, all of that deep kind of stuff. And then you have the soft side of it, of the cuteness of it, and how the characters all say their name and they could have plushes of them and they're cute, and some characters are pink and some characters are Jigglypuff, and oh, it's cute, and Meowth is cute, and da da da. And then because it's an RPG, it doesn't require a lot of dexterity. Some people who aren't good at video games because they move too fast or they don't have good hand-eye coordination, Pokemon was an RPG. You walk, oh, you get into an encounter. You have time to figure out your attack, slash, it was able to make both demographics, both worlds happy. And then because it was a video game, which is what was the modern thing that children wanted to engage with over toys, that helped. Sure, there was Pokemon toys, but there was Pokemon video games, which is what was the foundation of Pokemon. And then there was the anime, which was, again, cheaply put out by 4Kids Entertainment. They just had to dub it, edit, and put it out there. Donuts, if you know what I'm talking about. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Aaron was with the company at that time, and even Hasbro at that time didn't understand Pokemon because they couldn't comprehend what was going on, and they had it. It was so much. Where are we at here? Mikey Louie, when are we going to get our transmetals? Well, again, I'm sure we're going to get something, guys. It's not the end of the world. For sure, we're going to get some transmetals because sooner or later, we have to do that Cheetor trademark again. Sooner or later, they have to do Tarantulas again. Sooner or later, they're going to have to do Black Arachnia, Rhinox, all of those. Now, if you're in a situation where you go, crap, I got to do Tarantulas again, you either do a new version of the character and a new media partner, Tarantulas in Cyberworld, Tarantulas in a new movie, or you do Tarantulas in your Generations flavored classics line and you decide to pick a design that's associated Tarantulas. We already got season 1 Tarantulas. We could get transmetals now. There's your answer. And that's the reality. So you will get one at some point only because of trademarking and because how Hasbro wants to protect their trademarks. That's how it'll happen. So just count down until the next patent refresh on the U.S. Patent Office. But there's so much science to it when it comes to like the success of that stuff. Cringe McCringle, well, wouldn't they have to just bought some time with the Predacon pack I'm currently messing with? That was exactly why they did the Predacon pack, aside from the 30th anniversary. But you know what it was? It was one of these things that it's like, it's the 30th anniversary. Some of those trademarks they didn't have to refresh, but now they just put it. I'm pretty sure, like, when you think about it, like Scorponok, Megatron, Pterosaur, yeah, that one's a refresh. Black Arachnia, that one's not a refresh. But the Pterosaur one for sure. Pterosaur is the one out of all of them that for sure is a refresh, which is also the one that's probably the least likely to need an updated figure in terms of a transmetal, unless you want to get his purple transmetal from back in the day. But it is what it is. Like, sooner or later, they'll happen. The only sad news I'm going to tell you, it might take a couple years. That's just how it is. Like your next Optimus Primal figure is going to be a Cyberworld figure where he turns into a truck. That's what happens. So it's something like that. We got 15 minutes left already. Damn, I thought we've only been going for like 10 minutes or something. Jeez. I've been so busy today. Like, it's been crazy. I was almost worried that I wasn't going to get home in time to do the live stream. Yeah, it's true. We got the Swapticon. Yeah, man. Like they're just using this to throw like some of the names too and stuff. There's the $20 I got on sale of that one. But it's just it is what it is. Like they're gonna always try to figure out a way to also save face with some of those smaller price points. Always is. Time flying in 2026. Well, when you're an old man like me, time flies very quickly. It really does. But especially with me, I'm going to be going 1 year up more next week. So the proto birthday, which I think I'm going to go for Chinese food. I always go to a certain restaurant for my birthday that I love near my parents'. When I was when I was in high school, when Beast Wars was out, we used to always order Chinese food once a week. And my mother used to always ask me, like, when should we order it? Like, what day of the week would you like to order the Chinese food? And it was a way for her to not have to cook that week. Because when you would get like a big Chinese chow mein, that would feed you for like a day and a half. And we didn't have a lot of money. So that helped out a lot. Um, and I used to always tell her, like, well, the new episodes of Beast Wars on YTV, which is how we got Beast Wars, were on Wednesdays. So I'd be like, let's get Chinese food on Wednesday and then a new episode of Beast Wars. And that time it was season 2. So good time. Good time. Uh, can we have Fusors in the meantime? Well, again, look, we got Silverbolt and we got Quick Strike, and those were the two major featured Fusors. So in very quick succession, we got two of the major Fusors from the fiction. The question is do you want the Fusors outside of that? I don't know. Some of those are pretty gnarly designs. Will Murphy, Proto, have you seen the Mega Man watch? Yes, I have. Um, it looks weird. It's Mega Man if you want to play it as if it was a tapping game, because it's not like you're playing Mega Man 2, but it's just like you're just doing this, which is Mega Man, which is a very complex run and shoot kind of game. To kind of simplify it to like almost like an Angry Birds kind of play style, I don't know. It is what it is. It's the little watch stuff. I don't hate it, but it's like, it's not for me. If it was like $5, I'd probably buy it for $5, play it for 5 seconds, and then put it back in the box. I'm going to be honest with you. So it is what it is. Give us an Airhammer Voyager. Airhammer, again, there was a lot of cool designs with the Fusors. I love some of the Fusor designs. Airhammer was one of, Hammerhead Hawk Shark. Like that's cool with a little like biting hand. But it's just number one, a lot of those Fusors had unique trademarks that don't exist in any other shape or form, with the exception of maybe what's his name? Oh gosh, what was his name? Shadow Strike? Was it Shadow Strike? What's the iguana? Iguana, half dragonfly? Shadow Strike? That's a trademark that I think like Hasbro could use on other stuff. Like there's very few of them that have trademarks that could be used across different things. Like, oh, we're going to bring this trademark back, use it for this character for a Fusor, and then we could use it for other characters later on, so it makes it worth our time. But Mikey and Louie, I hope Thunderwing's design looks like the Marvel Comics version. Oh, dude, I hope so too. Sky Shadows. Sorry. Yeah, that's true. And that's why I turned my head, because Sky Shadows right there, the evil repaint of Jetfire. So I know it's like, okay, there was a Sky Shadow in Cybertron. So you could do Sky Shadow, the Fusor, and then you could do Sky Shadow, a evil repaint of a Jetfire mold, which we now know that we're going to be getting one from Commander class. So there's ways that you could make use of that. It was the first use of the name Ninjatron. That's why I like very few of the Fusors had that name used and then used again later on or come from the past. A few of the Transmetal 2s had some pre-existing names. You had Scourge, for one example, Prowl, but a lot of the Fusors were not the case. You had a lot of weird ones. Tom Laney saw the new product for Carbot, some kind of multi-changer. How are the builds of those toys? Very solid, very ratchety. They're very good, fun toy figures. Like there's something that in a very high ratchet Armada era they would have existed, or like the Yusha Brave era of the early 90s of Takara. That's the vibe that I get from them, although they're very ratchety. Like they're very, like, ratchets are a big part of it. They're not like the most super articulated posable figures. They are toys made for little Korean children. My only negative with it, and it's not my fault, it's just it's not for me, is the show is very made for children. And I find that the dub in English is atrocious. Like, I'm not talking like bad for kids dub. I mean, like, they just got anyone that was available in the studio that claims to know English doing the voice acting, and it's pretty rough. And so when you're trying to market a toy line to a Western market, you need to clean that up a little bit. It doesn't have to be the best voice acting in the world. It could let it be for kids level entertainment voice acting, but let it at least be that. It's pretty bad, the quality of the voice acting. So the show, as a result, I don't speak Korean and I don't watch the show with subtitles in Korean, in English. I watched it dubbed, which would be the way that the Western audience would be consuming it, and it's pretty rough. So that's my problem with it. The products in a vacuum, those are great. The show itself, again, I'm not going to knock the storytelling and the story, but the way it's presented is going to turn off even children, because children are going to be like, I don't know, that's kind of low quality, the voice acting. Like, how come every character sounds like they have a Malaysian accent, and that they're really just the guy who sweeps up the mud outside the studio or something? Like, they just kind of just got anyone for voice actors. Uh, Sky Shadow is currently Black Shadow's trademark. Oh, there you go. Well, because they can't use black. That's true too. Who else could be Torka? Exactly. You know, that's the problem, is that all of those Fusors just have these weird kind of names that just don't belong anywhere else. He was originally called Aqua Sting, but then they called him Injector. Like, what do you do with that? You know, there's a lot of them that are, which is that piranha bee. You know, there's a lot of weird ones that just they don't really fit anywhere. That's why, again, we got Quick Strike, we got Silverbolt, because those are two iconic characters that were show based. Silverbolt is a trademark. No need to say where that could fit everywhere. Quick Strike has been used in other areas of Transformers and G.I. Joe. So that's a trademark that could find other areas. And I'm pretty sure it's probably been somewhere else. Those are just the two that I'm familiar with. Maybe it's even a pony character. I don't know. But they do that. TFCon Twins, shout out again to Archer Monster. We are super stoked to get that Vector Prime repaint for the 13. Delta proudly owns both versions of the 2005 Vector. Takara 1 is white. Yep. It's a great figure. Great figure. But yeah, that's why we brought it out, because of the orange sword and the secrets that will be within for another time. For another time, go check out Aaron and me doing a panel talking about the origins of making a Vector Prime toy, and you'll learn about the history of the gold in it. And I think we also talked about it on the Toy Armada, so go check that out. Will Murphy, what do you think of people who cosplay as original characters? Sure. I mean, it's their original character. To me, there is no rules with cosplay. I mean, have fun. You know what I mean? The thing with cosplay, and I've always said this to people, if you are a cosplayer, but you are also concerned what other people think, then you shouldn't be cosplaying. because those are two things that are always going to be together. You could cosplay as the most amazing thing ever. Like I've seen some incredible cosplay in the Transformer space, but there's always going to be people that are like, wow, that person took that way too seriously. Oh my God, this person has no life. You have to do it for yourself if you're a cosplayer. So if you're doing original characters, you're doing it for yourself. And that's what it is. Don't do it to make anyone else happy. Don't do it because of what other people think. Do it for yourself. I was the judge 1 year, only 1 year because Ian wasn't there. I was the judge for the cosplay contest 1 year for TFCon in Chicago, only because we didn't have any of the other staff to do it. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And someone did an absolutely amazing Transformers Prime Starscream. It was like screen accurate. And that's incredible. But don't do it for attention. Don't do it for yourself that it makes you feel good. And that's it. And who cares what other people say? There's no rules with cosplay. There isn't. You want to cosplay as your original character? So be it. There's people that go to like Comic Cons and they'll do like cosplay mashups. It's like, oh, what are you supposed to be? Oh, I'm, you know, I'm Captain Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean. If he was a transformer in the Simpsons universe, and like they do like three things in one. They do all kinds of wacky stuff like that. Do it for yourself and make sure you're having a good time. You know, she cosplays all the time. And her thing with cosplay is she'll be watching a show, or a movie or reading a comic, and then she sees a character and she'll know nothing about the show. That's the thing that's so funny with her. She'll know, like, I'll be watching Justice League Unlimited back in this was like in 2008, 2009. I'm watching Justice League Unlimited. I love that show. And then she saw Huntress for the first time in that episode of Huntress, Black Canary, and The Question. And she fell in love with that design. And then she fell in love with that character. And then she's like, I want to cosplay as her. And that's that. She sees Batman Returns. She fell in love with that Michelle Pfeiffer design. She wanted to cosplay as that. And that's what she did. Baroness from G.I. Joe, she cosplayed as that. Chun-Li from Street Fighter, she cosplayed as that. She cosplayed as Lego Batman once. It's a little blocky, but she cosplayed as Lego Batman because she loves Lego. And she loves the Lego Batman games. She loves the Lego Batman games. There's a new Lego Batman game coming out. Now we have to think about getting a Switch 2 because of it. I wasn't intending on getting a Switch 2 anytime soon. So she loves cosplay, but she does it because it's for herself. It's what she likes. She doesn't care what other people think. She doesn't care if it makes sense. Baroness wasn't Asian. You know what I mean? So, but yet she cosplays as Baroness. She doesn't care, oh, gotta match the race and all that kind of stuff. She doesn't care. She does it for her. And it's the same thing. People should do it for themselves and not care what other people think. And if you truly care what other people think, then don't be surprised if it doesn't work out for you. Tom Laney, will be interesting to see what the next crazy new design or still rehashing G1 90% off of by now. Well, I mean, look, the sad reality is Hasbro's always going to make whatever is selling. And right now, what is always selling is Generation 1 adjacent product. It's just how it is. The moment Generation 1 stuff isn't selling and something else is selling, they'll just do that. The two things that are selling right now, Generation 1 adjacent stuff and Michael Bay movie related stuff. Studio Series still keeps putting out Michael Bay related products. People still keep buying them. Mr. Galactic Gamer just popped in. What do you think of the chances are if we could get a non-transformable Dragonstorm as a HasLab? Well, I don't think they'd ever do a non-transformable item as a HasLab solely because then they would be able to give us an excuse to ask $150 to $200. If it's non-transformable Dragonstorm, that thing should be a Sufobi giant piece of plastic that's sold for $50 at Walmart. I mean, let me grab this bootleg here that I always keep nearby. If this thing could be like $3, mind you, it's hollow in the back and unpainted. If this thing could be $3, what is a hyper articulated Dragonstorm gonna do? They need to make it combine. They need to make it transform. They need to include a billion blast effects so they could say, hey, it's going to be $179.99 and you have 30 days to pay for it. I don't think that's going to happen. That's just the reality of that. Tom Blaney, but how you make Optimus Prime G1 better each time? You find a way. Look, everyone was happy buying that Earthrise one, and then they gave you the Studio Series 86. And then you know what's going to happen? Right now, the Studio Series 86 isn't perfect. There's little flaws here and there, little cuts here. There's still little flaws with the Studio Series 86. And guess what? One day you're going to get something that's like the Studio 86 without those little flaws. You'll see. They never make it 100, unless it's a masterpiece, they never make it 100% perfect, because then how are they going to sell it to you again in 5 years? That's it. Plain and simple. Everyone went crazy with MPO1 during the Aaron Archer days. Everyone went crazy with MP10 when Shogo Hosui did the new design of Convoy. Everyone went crazy when they did the Classics one, even though it wasn't related to the G1 design, but oh my God, here's modern G1 Optimus Prime in a new design. Everyone went crazy with that leader class with Earthrise. And now we have a Studio Series 86, and then it's going to be something else. It will be. Watch. Mark my words. That's how the dance goes every single time. We still haven't apexed with Hot Rod yet. Think about that. Even with a Studio Series 86 and an upcoming MPG, they always figure out a way. Cringe McCringle, what do you think the next HasLab will be? There's what I think it's going to be, and then there's what I'd like for it to be. And unfortunately, both those answers are not on the same page. That's what's sad. So we'll see what happens possibly at San Diego Comic-Con when something might get announced. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see if they want to put it on the grandest stage of them all or save it for a New York Toy Fair later on. T-Formers 2002, on topic of HasLab after Omega Prime drama, I'm happy to see Lio Kaiser is near perfect. Well, also, Lio Kaiser is the longest we've ever had to wait from the product ending to us having it shipped to us. And I think, and again, I can't confirm that, but I think part of the reason is after what happened with Omega Prime, they probably went, okay, let's just make sure everything's okay this time around. Every rivet is in the right place. Everything is fine. Every deco is there. So they probably took a little extra time at the factory in Vietnam to make sure everything is kosher before they shipped it out. Because it's the first time we've had to wait that long. I think it was 1 year and 7 months or something, 1 year and 8 months, which was 2 months longer than Omega. And then Omega had its extra problems if you want to add to that. So, but we shall see. We are at the 2-hour mark. Good times, good talks, good things with everyone. Once again, thank you for joining me tonight on the podcast. We had some good conversations today. A lot of Pokemon talk, oddly enough, but also the business. It's funny because I have a Kabuto card right here. I just looked off camera. But yeah, it's something where a lot of good discussions, and needless to say, with San Diego closing in very quickly, we're going to learn a lot more about the tail end of 2026 going into 2027, as well as the new lines and everything, because all those things, the licensors and stuff, they've already been informed. And so, needless to say, very soon we're going to be learning a lot of new information. That's all I'm going to say. Whenever Protoman says, hey, next week we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about, surprise. So stay tuned for that. What's for dinner? So we went out and we had this Korean restaurant that was near downtown. And I had what's called a hotdogu. It's a Japanese style hot dog sold in a Korean bun with cheese in it. It was delicious. It was overpriced as hell. It was like $4 for this thing for just like a hot dog, but it was still great. It was amazing. And then I didn't take a photo of it. I don't think I did. Hold on, let me just double check. One moment. Did I take a photo of it? I don't think I did. No, I didn't. Damn it. And then we got like she got something too. She got one of her own like, Korean, because it's like a Korean hamburger thingy, which is like made out of Korean Kobe beef, and it uses these special kind of toppings and blah blah blah. $11 for a hamburger. But again, we were downtown having fun, so once in a while we spoil ourselves. But it was good. It was good. And tomorrow we'll do grocery shopping because we didn't get a chance to do it today, and then we'll buy something else. I think I'll probably, I don't know, probably gonna buy chicken breast or something to have tomorrow. I always buy things to eat during the week. I don't like buy ready-made food and frozen stuff because a lot of it's not healthy. So, but I like to buy chicken breast, pre-prepare it, do it on the barbecue, put it away. It lasts a couple of days, so it's something that you could quickly reheat and have during the week. All good stuff. Cringe McCriggle says, see everyone next week. Let's hope TFCon Toronto gets here fast. Totally. We got TFCon Toronto. Then we got San Diego Comic-Con. Then we got Montreal Otakuthon. So July is going to be packed. At some point, I think I'm going to Japan in June. Nothing confirmed yet, but that's kind of on the schedule right now for business reasons. But we will see for that. But aside from that, guys, that's it more or less today on the Transformer Slag podcast. Thank you for all the love and support. Once again, if you want to continue supporting the podcast, we have a Patreon link down there below. We recently posted on Patreon some nice new exclusives, like the latest episodes of Transformers Wild King W. Thanks to Bin Studios for hooking us up with that and making it region free. We also have the translated manga from Sakamoto that he put out just 2 days ago. So thank you, Sakamoto, and the translated story with the Unicronians and Sideways and everything. A lot of really good stuff. So that's all there, exclusive to the Patreon people and on the Discord. So again, you get some cool stuff as well as your name and joining the community and supporting the podcast and having your name in the end credit scroll. So again, click that link down below if you know. Aside from that, that's it. Thanks again. We're going to call it quits tonight. And like I always say, take care of your friends, your family, your loved ones. The world is a beautiful place. It's absolutely awesome. There's so much cool stuff in it. Ignore the negativity, ignore the stupidity. There is some really unhappy individuals right here that are forever online, typing away, living in your feed, and putting that into your day-to-day life, finding something to complain about. But there's no reason to, because there's so many awesome things. And if you focus on yourself, making yourself better, you won't even hear those people. Enjoy your life and enjoy all the cool things in it. I'm out of here. Thanks for everyone who tuned in today. Thanks to the Hasbro people that tuned in today to hear the rants and everything like that. Take care of yourself. And as always, roll out.